Good morning, good morning. I'm Jennifer Brennan. I'm the Horticulture Information Specialist at Chalet, and today's webinar is Awakening the Spring Garden. And I think I'm the only one on right now, so I'm just kind of, oh, I've got another person. Welcome, welcome. So we're gonna get started in 6 minutes, and usually we do this lecture earlier in the year. We usually do it in March, but because we've been so behind schedule because of the cold temperatures and the growing degree days are still very low, a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about, if you've already done them, pat yourself on the back and say, good job, good job. If you haven't done them, it's not too late, and now is the perfect time to do them. So I'm going to cover all the different categories of the garden, lawns, bed preparation for annuals and perennials, then perennials, roses. We're going to talk about the spring flowering bulbs, and then ground covers and trees and shrubs. So kind of, you can check things off. You got the link to the webinar, and also in that email is a link to the outline of what I'm going to be covering, and everything that's on the screen in the PowerPoint presentation is on this handout. So you don't have to break your arm taking notes. Okay. So, and then if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A column. It's easier for me to keep track of them and answer them more efficiently if you put them in the Q&A column instead of the chat. There's a chat box too. So I don't know why this isn't coming down like it's supposed to. It's supposed to show me the Q&As. It's being difficult. But that's not the first time that the Zoom has been difficult. Let's try it again. There we go. There we go. Ooh, I've got 6 people. Welcome, welcome. And my Zoom is cooperating with me at this point. Touching wood, touching wood. You never don't rely on Zoom so much. All right, I'm looking at my clock. It is 9:56. Oh, and I'm muting my phone. I used to be so good at that in the conference room when we had it up in the Learning Center. And now the Learning Center is an employee, it's their meeting, not a meeting room, it's where they go to have lunch, and where it's the employee break room. I don't know if we're going to be going back to that ever for the Learning Center. Kind of breaks my heart, but we'll see what happens. So I've got 7 participants. Welcome, welcome. I'm Jennifer Brennan. I'm the Horticulture Information Specialist here at Chalet. I've been here 31 years. It's a good thing I do hair color, huh? And today's topic is Awakening the Spring Garden. And I'm going to cover all the areas that we have concern with in our gardens, like the lawn and the planting beds, the roses. And I'm going to go over everything you should do to help them wake up and get a good start as they're growing in the garden. We're behind schedule because of the growing degree days. Growing degree days are an accumulated number, and there's a base 30. The agricultural world uses that one. Farmers use that because they get crops out, earlier, and it's based on an accumulated number from temperatures over 30. Most of the horticultural world bases it on base 50. So anytime the temperature of the day is above 50 degrees, that amount, so say it gets to be 70 degrees today, that'd be 20 degrees, the difference between 70 and 50, that gets added to a cumulative number for the whole growing season. And it's a little more, the equation's a little more complicated than that, but that's basically what it is. And so that accumulated number kind of adds up through the season. And there's all kinds of coincidental, it's called coincide, and of things that happen based on the growing degree days. So different insects emerge, different plants open up, different seeds germinate. So like crabgrass germinates when the cell temperature is 55. And coincidentally, the same that happens then is the lilacs are in flower. So if you see the lilacs going in flower and you haven't put your crabgrass preventer down, you have to run straight to Chalet, buy your crabgrass preventer, and get that applied. Another neat one that's going on right now is when the forsythia is going to bloom. That means the cell temperatures are 47 or above, and our cool season turf grasses are actively growing. So just a little bit of trivia before we get started. Today's presentation is on awakening the spring garden. And I was talking about how we're so behind because the growing degree days. We're like 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks behind schedule, and all the plants are that way too. So if you haven't done a lot of these things that I'm going to be talking about today, don't worry. You're right on schedule according to the growing degree days. All right. So if you've already done them, I'm telling people to raise your arm and pat yourself on the back and say, "Atta girl" or "Atta boy," because you know you're ahead of the game for the year. I see I've got 15 people. Welcome, welcome. And the outline or the handout was on a separate link on the email that you were sent with the link to get to this webinar. And you can either open it up on your computer or print it later, or you can always come and get a copy at the diagnostic desk in the plant clinic that's in the Garden Essentials part of the store. And there's a hard copy that you can pick up if you didn't want to have to print it. So let me see the time again. It is 10 o'clock. Man, I'm getting good at keeping track of the time. All right, so let me see, we've got 15 people. Welcome aboard. And let's just go ahead and get started. Oh, that's not the right one. Oh, cool. I clicked on the chat box. Oh, Zoom. Okay. Okay. And I mentioned to everybody, there's the chat box, and there's also the Q&A column. If you have questions during the presentation, type them in on the Q&A, and then I will answer all the questions afterwards, and I'll stay on as long as it takes to answer all those questions. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get my cursor up higher on the screen. She says, "Oh, come on." There we go. Okay, the first topic is lawns. I'm not going to read all these. I'm just going to go ahead and start talking. Vole damage. You want to look for the vole damage. And there are voles and moles. And voles actually have eyes, a little short stump of a tail, and they do this tracking in the turf, right all through the crowns and the thatch. So when the snow all melts, you see all these tracks all throughout the lawn, and the lawn will recover once you fertilize the lawn and it starts actively growing. It will fill in on its own. All of those grass plants, once they get that fertilizer, have the capacity of growing 3 inches in each direction. And these tracks are usually only maximum 1 inch to 2 inches. It's really just 1 inch. But if you don't like how it looks and you still are seeing tracks as the spring goes on, you want to use this great product called Molemax from the Bonide company. We have it in a liquid form, we have it in a granular form, and it's castor oil based. And you want to start closest to the house, spray a 10-foot section, or sprinkle the granular over a 10-foot section, and then wait 2 or 3 days. Then after that, do another 10-foot section as you're going to move them off your property. So we'll start closest to the house and move all the way out to the outer edge of your yard or the lawn, and it will push them out. And it doesn't kill them, but it will push them out and send them over to your neighbors. If you have a good neighbor, Don't send them that way. Send them to the neighbor that's not so good. There's also moles. Moles don't have eyes, or they're very diminished eyes. They actually dig and tunnel down in the soil underneath the turf. So you'll see these mounds. So the difference between vole damage and mole damage, and then they usually have like a mound where they're coming in and out, and you'll see the mound and the turf is actually mounded up. And when we get hot and dry later in the season, those areas can dry out more easily, and the turf gets stressed. So the Molemax works for either voles or moles. I've had a lot of people with this problem this year, so that's why I wanted to make sure we had it in here. Now there's not a lot of snow molds out there, and snow mold is a fungus that occurs if we have heavy snow cover, or if we have moist, cool temperatures like we're having now, where we have lots of rain, and we're having temperatures that have been hovering, fluctuating back and forth, but the low temperatures are hovering just above freezing. This is the ideal condition for snow molds. And there's pink snow molds, gray snow molds, and usually we notice this after the snow melts, and you'll see these patches with this almost a pink colored ring around the edge. And let's do this. So here, you can see a little bit better. And again, pink snow mold only needs cool, damp, wet conditions to begin, and then it infects the turf grass, and then it can flare back up. There's also a warmer season one that can show up later in the season. But usually what will happen is once the temperatures increase and you get the spring fertilizer on it, these fungal organisms are so temperature oriented and environment oriented, based on moist, cool conditions, that once it warms up, they just go away and the turf outgrows it, especially when you put the spring fertilizer on. Okay, and again, pink snow mold thrives best when the temperatures are between 35 and 60. Guess what we've been living in the last, the last 6 weeks. So if you see this, that's what it is, and you can use any of the lawn fertilizers, and I'm going to show you the products later in the presentation. But Immunox is an excellent one, and then also the Infuse, and then BioAdvanced has a hose and sprayer that you hook to the hose to spray for the lawn, and it's calibrated for the lawn. Okay, now you still, if you haven't, I usually don't encourage you to rake the lawn, because a lot of people get too vigorous and they rake out all the thatch. You don't want to do that. You just want to gently rake with like a softer leaf rake, and not an iron rake. And you just want to rake up any excess dry grass, leaves or twigs, or any other debris that's on top of the lawn, and that clears it away for the active growth that's going to be going on. Now, the early fertilizer and weed preventative, my favorite, and people are having such wonderful success with both of these products. These are actually the same thing. It's the same fertilizer, 21-22-4, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and it has the weed preventative active ingredient, the AI, is mesotrione. And mesotrione is the same active that's in Tenacity, which was a liquid that was developed 18 to 20 years ago. And then 5 years ago, the same company, Syngenta, developed the granular form. So Scott's got the contract to use the mesotrione in its granular products for the first 10 years. That's how the chemistry industry works. People get the right to have an exclusive for it. Scott's has it. So that's what we're carrying, this Scott's product. And it is excellent. And Scott's calls it part of their 4-step program, but this is the step 1 for seeding. So this will not prevent grass seed from germinating. It will prevent any weed seeds, any weed seeds, and like broadleaf weeds. It kills creeping bent grass. It kills nutsedge. It won't let the nutlets start. It's the only product out there that will do that, very effectively. And then again, it prevents crabgrass from germinating also. So, and again, excellent nutrient levels. So I love this. The larger bag is for a lawn that's 5,000 square feet. The smaller bag is for 4,000 square feet. It's the exact same product. Now, what it does, the mesotrione, burns the chlorophyll out of bent grass. This is in my own lawn. And that the photo on the left is the bent grass. And what the mesotrione does is it burns the chlorophyll out. So it's so rewarding to walk around your lawn and see wherever the creeping bent grass is. And then also look what it does to broadleaf weeds. Now, it's not labeled to kill them, but it just dings them up so badly. These are dandelions and clover in my lawn. And this is what it does to creeping Charlie. This was a year ago. And this showed what they looked like on April 14th. I put the product down, I believe it was the 4th of April. So 10 days later, I could walk around and see it in action. I love that. I absolutely love that. And then this was, again, 2 weeks after that. And you can see how all of the broadleaf weeds, the creeping Charlie, the clover, and the dandelions are really getting, beat up. And they're really getting beat up. So then I was able to come in the week after this, spray with a weed killer, a lawn weed killer, chickweed, clover, and oxalis, and they died in 10 to 14 days. Incredible product. This is the lawn care calendar for Chicagoland, and Bill Leuenberger, he founded our style and turf department here at Chalet, but retired. He's the one that talked me into doing this, and so this is just a helpful aid that, if it's it's April and you haven't done these things, or May and you haven't done the things that were in April, that it reminds you this is the time to do it. Okay, and a lot of people love working with this. You can get a printed copy again at the diagnostic desk where the plant clinic is. Now, this used to be on our seed packets to show you if you want. I always tell people that put down the pre-emergent and the early lawn fertilizer. Wait 2 weeks to see how many spaces there still are, empty spaces or bare spots, because the dormant grass plants will have the capacity of growing 2 or 3 inches in each direction. So if this is 6 inches from my thumb tip over to the side of my finger. So if the spots are less than 6 inches, the grass, when it wakes up, will grow in each direction and fill it in. So I tell people to wait to see how much seed they really need. Now, if you're interested in overseeding an existing lawn to give it a disease-resistant kind of infusion, like some fresh new blood, I would highly recommend waiting to do that until August 15th, in between August 15th and September 15th. It's a better time of year to start grass seed, because the soil is warm, it germinates much more quickly, it's established much more quickly, and thickens up as the days are getting shorter. It really encourages rhizome growth. But if you have serious bare spots, this is how thick you want to spread the seed on them. And 1 pound, oh, and I love this, you've seen this so many times, but this is Andy, the owner of Irving's, and that was my lunch that day. I may get one today. That's a jumbo hot dog, or a red hot. It's a jumbo red hot. And I get it loaded. And that was my lunch that day. And then Andy let me go behind the counter and take a picture of the Rosen's buns, because I always thought that the distribution of the poppy seeds on the bun was exactly what the just right application of grass seed is. So I used to, whenever I would have lectures in the Learning Center about turf, I would get coupons from Irving's, from Andy. Chalet would purchase them, and I would hand them out to people that they would answer the right questions in the education center classes, especially during the lawn care, and then they could go over and have lunch and get a hands-on to see exactly how thick to spread their grass seed. Okay, now early season lawn diseases, I have not seen any of these yet. Isn't that nice to say that? It's been too cold. It's been wet enough that I'm anticipating, but once the temperatures start going up, and dollar spot is usually the first one that shows up. And dollar spot, you can see the sample on the screen here, and a sample of the grass on my microscope deck, and then this was the screen up above, and it's a very distinctive silver dollar size spot. That's why they call it dollar spot. And then you have these hourglass lesions with the brown disease band on the top and the bottom of the hourglass. That's classic for dollar spot. And it's a result of warm days and cool nights, and also prolonged leaf wetness. Pardon me. More often it's in soils that tend to be drier and that have low nitrogen fertility. So once you get your spring fertilizer on, the grass plants will technically outgrow it. Okay. These are the preventative fungicides that I want you to make note of, because we're getting enough rain this season that I'm anticipating we're going to see a lot of the late season diseases that inoculate the grass plants in May. So starting next week, especially when the temperatures warm up, and if we're going to be continuing getting rain, that's when the fungal spore that is in the soil inoculates the roots, the crown, and the blades of the grass plants. So next week is the time you want to start spraying with these hose-in sprayers. These are set for use on lawns, so they're calibrated at just the right amount of distribution to treat for the lawn diseases. So Immunox, I love the Immunox. Infuse, we have Infuse in stock right now. We're waiting for the Bio Advance. They're all three of them are either propiconazole or myclobutanil, and those are excellent, very broad spectrum fungicides that stay in the tissues that are sprayed for 14 days, even if it rains. I love these things because it really protects. And if you protect the lawn now, or in May, then in July and August, you won't be seeing those brown patches showing up. Okay. All right. Now this is the bed prep for annual and vegetable beds. So what you want to do is apply 1 to 2 inches of organic matter, like Chalet leaf mulch, or the Chalet organic compost, or cotton burr compost, dehydrated manure, or your own compost over the surface of all your planting beds. So this is my own vegetable garden, and you can see I used a combination of the Chalet organic compost, and then I mixed in 2 bags of the Dr. Earth vegetable potting mix. And this is what it looked like afterwards. Look at that, isn't it great? So unfortunately, I planted my peas, my spring peas, actually a month and a half ago. And then I left town. I had a 2-week vacation, and doggone it, the squirrels ate all my seeds. So I have to replant. That's okay. Now, this is also the time to plant frost hardy. You want to focus on the frost hardy annuals and vegetables because we're not past our frost-free date. And the annual frost-free date, which is the average date of the last frost here in Chicagoland, is May 15. And you'll see different things. I just Googled it online, and someone said May 1st, but May 15, and it's an average, which means, sometimes, we don't have a freeze, but sometimes we do. And there are chances where I have been at Chalet 31 years, and there was one year where we were 29 degrees on the 27th of May. We lost all of the plants on the top shelves out in the nursery. Even though we had them covered, we had smokers going to try to, dissipate the frost, and everything on the top benches froze to death. It was $17,000 of loss. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. We always had a joke here. If you plant, but if you plant any of the warm season crops, if you plant them early, there's a good chance you're going to plant them frequently or often. But the frost hardy annuals include pansies. They're my favorite. Violas. This is a viola, the Etane, which is my favorite viola, right up on the upper right picture. Look at those, that violet and the violet color, and the yellow, the bright yellow, and the white. It's just lovely, and it's a fragrant one. And then the one down in the center is the Osteospermum. They also call them Cape daisies. But we have snapdragons and stocks That's the cool season cousin of a snapdragon that's fragrant. We have ranunculus, we have sweet peas, alyssum, nemesia, diacia, dianthus, bacopa, and lobelia, as well as the osteospermum. And this is what the benches look like. Oh my gosh, I just realized I took this one at the beginning of the week, and we have been getting 4 to 7 semi-trucks a day. So these benches are completely full now. I should have gone out and taken a fresher one. So, but come in and see, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you all this. We're doing the wonderful Chalet Rewards promotion this weekend. It's starting today and goes all the way through Sunday, where every plant, all plants out in the nursery for rewards customers are 20% off. So come in and take advantage of this. All the woody plants, all the perennials, the roses, everything we have in stock right now, and all the annuals. And we have a few tropicals too, but with the tropicals, be prepared to keep those inside and protected if the temperatures are going to drop below 50 at night. So you're going to be moving them in and out of the garage, to keep them protected. Now the frost hardy vegetables include lettuces, cabbage, kale, spinach, onions, chard, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and all the root crops. And we have many of these. We have seeds for all of these, but we have many of these out in 4-inch pots in our courtyard on the benches where the vegetables usually are located. And if you're walking out of the store into the nursery, down that main aisle, and you get into the courtyard, the vegetables are off to the left, and then the herbs are on benches to the right. Can't miss it. Oh, and we have all the wonderful fruit shrubs and fruit trees out there as well. Okay, now perennials. We're going to talk about, oh, I'm doing pretty good on this. All right. Now, with the perennials, what you want to do is you want to finish cutting back anything that you left up for winter interest. And these were my ornamental grasses in my backyard and the ornamental grasses in my front shade bed. And you can tell it's not a shade bed right now when there are no leaves on my honey locust. But it does get some pretty good sun early in the morning as the sun's coming up in the east. But then when the honey locust is on and leaf, it's a really good shade garden. But you want to cut all these down, and with ornamental grasses, if you haven't cut your ornamental grasses back yet, especially the warm season grasses like the miscanthus and the panicums, what I like to recommend is that you do twine and you tie the base of the plant about 6 inches above the ground. Then come in at 12 inches, tie another string, there. And then a lot of times I'll try a third one up at the top if it's a tall bunch like this miscanthus. And then in between the first one and the second one, you cut the bundle. And I can use lopping shears. I've actually been known to use my chainsaw and go in and cut them down. But then the bundle all stays together, and you carry it out to the yard waste at the curb, and they haul it away. And then you can see I have different ornamental grasses in my front bed, and so they've all been pruned down. I should do the before and after picture, shouldn't I? I should have done that. Okay, and then peonies. These are my great grandmother's peonies that I rescued from the farm down in Browns, Illinois, 5 years ago. Oh God, it was longer than that. Oh no, it was 5 years ago. And this is what they look like in March. And then you can see how I cut them all back. And then this is the photo down in the bottom of the shoots all coming up. And the shoots now, because this is kind of a heat sink, that's a western location. The west sun just shines right on it. The shoots now are, they're about 9 inches tall. So pretty good. I'm all excited. And they bloom for the first time 3 years after I got them transplanted. And they're absolutely lovely, absolutely lovely. Now is the time also to get all your plant supports. As the plants are just starting to grow, you put them over and then let the plants grow into them. And this is the classic peony ring right here. and see what happens to peonies if you don't put a peony ring around them. The heads are so heavy, and if we get a lot of rain at, in around Memorial Day, because that's the classic time that peonies are blooming, they'll flop down and drop to the ground, and it's so sad, so sad. And you can only have so many peonies as cut flowers, in your house. I like to have them up and keep them up. So get your supports on all your plants if they tend to flop or blow down in the wind. Plan to start protecting plants that are susceptible to the fungal diseases. Last year, we didn't see that many fungal diseases. We saw a lot of rust because we got rain in June. We had 4 days of rain in June. There were 4 inches, and it was the only rain almost all summer. We just had dribs and drabs the rest of the summer. But because it was warm at that time and everything got wet, the rust was outrageous. We had rust all over the place, but not a lot of the other fungal diseases. Like these are the ones we have to be cautious of. And this year, without the wonderful rain we're having, and we're right at the normal amount of rain for the month of April. 2.6 inches is the normal amount. And I believe when I was looking at that report, we were at 2.5, and I think that was 4 days ago. And I think with the rain that we've had, we might be above what normal amount for April rains are. So thank goodness, our poor plants were suffering so bad for the past 2 years. So what we need to be aware of that can be happening coming up is as the temperatures increase, all the spore for these different insects, these different diseases are going to be released. Apple scab is it's released when the daytime temperatures are 60 degrees and there's moisture on the leaves, and that affects crab apples, edible apples, Petoniaster, and serviceberry. Serviceberry can get apple scab. Black spot is more classic on roses. I'm going to show you some photos of these. Rust is on roses, and a lot of the hawthorns. Cedar apple rust is on apples, hawthorns, and then the cedar. It's a dual host going in between the two plants. Botrytis Bud Light is on roses and peonies. That's when the buds never open and they just turn brown and shrivel up. That's a fungus that gets into the dense petal structure and then grows through all the petals and binds them all together, and they never open. We also are seeing Volutella Stem Blight on Pachysandra, and we're seeing a lot of it on Pachysandra from the excessively wet and the early snowfall that we had 2 years ago on Halloween. And the snow landed on top of the Pachysandra, and the cell was still really warm, and that snow created an igloo where it was moist and warm from the soil, and it enabled all the leaves to get inoculated with Volutella. I'm going to show you some photos, and then also the stems. And then that really it really hit the plants hard last year in the drought and the heat. Then Volutella will also affect boxwood, and that's what causes the sections of the plant to turn yellow. And we've had Volutella stem blight. They also call that boxwood canker. We've had that forever. As long as I've been in Chicagoland, I've been dealing with that and diagnosing that. It is different than the boxwood blight, but these these fungicide applications will protect from both of them. Okay, and then we have the patch diseases. Excuse me, I skipped powdery mildew on lilacs, monarda, roses, and many, many more things. And then the patch diseases are the ones, the fungal diseases on the turf and lawns. So when you use the products, you use them before the plants are diseased, before they get inoculated, and it prevents them from getting inoculated and prevents the disease from happening. So we have these wonderful systemic products, and you want to start using them when the buds start to open. The horticultural term for that is bud break. So we're at bud break right now, and it's been fun to watch the plants as it's been cool. They slow down, so it's been fun to kind of see them develop little by little by little. So these systemic fungicides, these systemic fungicides, you want to use them every 14 days and for 3 applications. So starting May 15th, or I would say May 1st. Let's do May 1st, then May 15th, and then June 1st. If we continue to stay cool and rainy, you can do it for 5 times. But usually 3 is all that's needed, because when the temperature goes up, the spore from the fungus is no longer active. And also the leaves have formed a waxy cuticle. If the spore lands on them, it's harder for them to inoculate the leaf. So here's the apple scab, and you can see it on hawthorn apples, edible apples, and crab apples down on the bottom picture. Anthracnose. We usually see a lot of anthracnose on sycamore trees, and we see them on ash trees and maples and oaks. And then we also see a form of anthracnose when it's really rainy on hostas. So again, the fungicide, here's a close-up of black spot on a rose. And what happens is they get the lesion and then the leaf turns yellow. So you see, it really makes the black spot show up bright. And black spot is splashed up from the soil onto the rose plants. So you want to treat the plants with a fungicide, either a systemic drench or a spray, or you can also use sulfur, sprinkle it over. That's a Rosarian's old trick. And sprinkle sulfur on, and that keeps the spore from forming and then, splashing up on the plants. Okay, these are, again, the systemic fungicides. You spray it on the leaves, foliar spray. There's Immunox, which is myclophenol, and then the infused is propiconazole. And those are excellent, very broad spectrum, and again, systemic. You spray them on a day, like right now is perfect. It's not bright and sunny, and there's no rain right now. They dry, they're absorbed in the leaves in 20 minutes, and they protect for a solid 14 days. Incredible. I love these products. Okay, there are also drenches, and a drench, and I want to make sure people understand it's a drench. It's something you pour in the soil right where the trunk or the stems go in the ground. That's called the root collar. It's not a trench. Someone thought I was saying you had to dig a trench. No, no, no. This is a liquid based on like the BioAdvanced all-in-one Rosenflower care. My favorite. It has a wonderful, and use the liquid. It also has a granular, and we were out of the liquid for about 10 days, and we only had the granular, but people don't water the granular in like they should. So they usually have, I shouldn't say usually, I have had instances where people have come back with the bottle and banged it down on my desk saying, this doesn't work. And if you don't water it in appropriately, it won't get the chemicals down into the root zone. The liquid is fabulous because, like for roses, you take that measuring cap at the top, that light blue thing is a measuring cup, measure 2 ounces in a quart of water and pour it right where the rose goes in the ground or the peony goes in the ground. It is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. There's a shrub recommendation on this also, and you use 1 ounce per foot of shrub height, and it's great for boxwood. It fertilizes them, protects them from the 2 different insects that they get, and then also prevents them from the fungal stem cankers that they can get. So this is an excellent. Now, BioAdvanced came out, and for small trees, we used to be able to use this because there's always an argument in horticulture for small ornamental trees. Are they really trees? Are they just large shrubs? And for using this product, because it has a shrub recommendation on the inside label, we could get by with that. But BioAdvanced finally got smart, and they put together the shrub and tree form of it. And they've also done something really interesting, which was fun. We haven't gotten it in our store yet, but it should be here shortly. The liquid and the granular. They substituted the imidacloprid for acephate, which is another very effective systemic insecticide. Acephate was around when I was in college, and it's a good one. It's a good systemic. So other now, if you want to use your own fertilizer, like if you're just you really want to use the Dr. Earth rose and flower food on your roses, or the bud and bloom booster, I'm going to show you photos of those in a little bit, then and you'd rather use just the insecticide and fungicide, Bonide over here on the left has this product called Rose RX Systemic Drench, and it's the exact same insecticide and the exact same fungicide that's in the BioAdvanced, and the same recommendation. It's 1 ounce per inch per foot of shrub height, or on an individual plant, like a rose or peony or monarda, it's 2 ounces in a quart of water, pouring it right where the trunk goes into the ground. Now, you can also use this for things like Rudbeckia that gets that fungal leaf disease, and Cercospora is the name of it. You mix 2 ounces in 2 gallons of water, and then you pour that on a 3x4 area, 12 square feet. Okay. Now, these are the earthly natural fungicides, and for things like fruiting trees where you want insects to pollinate the flowers, you don't want to start using, an insecticide with a fungicide. So the earthly natural fungicides are sulfur is just it's a powder version of a sulfur. You can mix it, you can dust it on plants, or you can mix it into water, but you have to keep it agitated. So it's a suspended solution. That means the particles are evenly suspended through the solution while you're spraying. If you let the particles settle, then you're spraying water. Okay, now the copper fungicide, the dust is copper sulfate. It also is used like a suspended, solution. But one of the best new things that came out was from Neudorf, and it's copper soap or copper octanoate, and it's a liquid version. And what's nice is since it's a soap, it has a nice coating effect on the surface of the leaves. It will wash off in rain, so if it rains after you sprayed, you have to spray again. But again, it's earth-friendly natural, and it's a copper, copper octanoate, and it uses 60% less copper, so less metal being put out into the landscape. So it's an excellent product. We also have the liquid copper fungicide in a ready-to-use spray bottle. I just didn't have room to put it on a slide. So those are excellent solutions. So that's what you would use on your apples, any of your fruit trees, until the petals drop. The petals of the flowers. Once they drop, that means they've been pollinated. Then you can start using an orchard spray that has the insecticide and the fungicide in it. Now consider using Sluggo. I can't believe I didn't put a picture of the Sluggo bottle on here. And use the Sluggo. Sluggo's in that round canister, almost looks like a Parmesan cheese shaker bottle. And then we also have larger jugs. And slugs are dormant until the cell temperatures reach 60 degrees. And that doesn't happen oftentimes. And that's soil temperatures, not air temperatures. The cell temperatures are still around 45. They're in between 45 and 50 right now. And cell temperatures are very slow to increase, their temperature levels, because they kind of go up and down and up and down and up and down. Air temperatures fluctuate wildly. I don't have to tell you that. After having 80 degrees a week ago on, I think, Monday, and then what was it yesterday? 30, 32. So anyway, you want to put the Sluggo down, and you don't have to use a lot. 1 tablespoon every 3 square feet. So I just, shake 1 shake of the shaker jar around where all my hostas are coming up, and I put it down in May 15. And that's, once the cell gets to the higher temperature, then when the slugs wake up, it's almost like having, breakfast in bed for them. They wake up, they eat these pellets. These pellets are made from sugar, flour, and water with the iron phosphate embedded into them. And they're like, it looks like someone has taken hours to break uncooked spaghetti into little 1/8 of an inch pieces. And you sprinkle those, and they're a cream color, so you can see them against the dark soil. Check every 2 weeks. Start May 15 and check June 1st and then June 15. If you can see the pellets underneath, they don't break down unless they're eaten. If they're gone, that means slugs have eaten them. You need to put more down, and you're going to reduce your slug populations. And it just kills their appetite. The damage, and this is classic damage. Look, you can see how they have this scraping mouth part, and they just scrape layer by layer by layer by layer of the leaf off. And if they ingest the iron phosphate from Sluggo, they just stop feeding, and so the damage stops, and then they crawl away and die someplace. And you're not fishing dead slugs out of stale beer that, you know, in bowls that are underneath the hostas. So it's much better. And this was invented by the Neudorf people as an earth-friendly natural product to replace the metaldehyde products that we used to use for years and years and years, called Bagetta. And they actually were toxic if mammals would eat those particles. So a lot of problems with dogs thinking it was kibble. And so we stopped carrying it many, many years ago. So look for the sluggo. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Doggone it. Okay, now this is public enemy number one. People are coming in constantly asking about what they can do to keep the rabbits from damaging their plants. They ruin arborvitae. They do thousands of dollars worth of damage. This was a service berry that I got a photo of. I think I got that photo 3 years ago. And you can see how the rabbits, it was when we had all the heavy snow, we had that 4 feet of snow. The rabbits would just get on top of the snow, eat the bark, and when snow melted, they just ate the bark all the way down. And then this is a rose in my own garden on the very bottom, the bottom right hand. They just devastated that rose. They ruined it. And I should have known better. I should have known better. I should have known better, you know, but, you know. All right, this is the other product. Oh, this is the best product that we have for repelling rabbits. It's called Plant Skeed. And unfortunately, we've been out of the liquid for quite a while. I think we're out of the granular too. We're waiting for a reorder. We got 2 huge trucks this morning, so I have a feeling it might be on there. And it's blood-based and bovine and porcine blood. It's been sterilized. I like the liquid to start out with. You spray it on the plants that they're actually eating, they're actually feeding on. It dries to a clear, glossy, cover, and stays on plants for 60 days when this precipitation is liquid. When precipitation is frozen, it stays on the plants for 90 days. Incredible product, fantastic product. We also have the liquid fence. We have 4 different products. We have the liquid fence. We have a new one that I got a testimonial from the head of our specialty gardens department from landscape that said it works phenomenal, the squirrel repellent. And I apologize, I can't think of the name of the product. I'll talk about it at Garden Coach next week, okay? So you can hear that. And then now we're moving into roses. And, you know, as the daytime temperatures are getting warmer and warmer, you need to promote new wood. Roses are flowering shrubs, and all flowering shrubs do better on new wood. Now, this is a rose down at my property. I have a property down in Arkansas. It was my dad's house, and so it's my house now. And I have 2 sisters that live there. And this was a knockout rose that hadn't been pruned in 2 years. I hadn't been down there in 2 years because I didn't want to go down to expose them to COVID. And so I was just down there in March. I pruned it back. One of my sisters just about had a heart attack because it had grown up. No one pruned it. She pruned it back to 4 feet last fall. And so the buds were starting to open all up and down the old canes. And I cut it down to 8 to 12 inches, only 5 stems. And this was, they just took the picture of it 2 days ago and sent it to me. Look at all the new growth that's coming from the roots. And so it's going to have phenomenal flowers. I'll keep you posted, I'll keep you posted on that. Many, many more flowers than you would if it just let it come from the old wood. Okay, these are the secret the systemic combos, the all-in-one Rosenflower and then the rose, and use these on the roses, on the roses, established roses. Now, these are my favorite Dr. Earth products, and I love the Dr. Earth products because they're made from the fish waste industry, and so they're organically based. They last 60 days out in an outdoor garden. If you're going to use them in containers where we water more frequently, they'll last 30 days, and it's a very slow release, long-term nutrient. The Rosenflower is excellent. You can see it has a 4-6-2 nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium formulation. The tomato, vegetable, and herb is a 4-6-3. You can interchange these. It's just they have recommendations on the back for all the vegetable crops, on the tomato, vegetable, and herb. And then on the back of the Rosenflower, they give you recommendations for and usually it's 1 cup every 10 square feet for all of these products. And then my favorite to promote is the Bud and Bloom Booster. They also call it Flower Girl, but I like the term Bud and Bloom Booster because, and it's a 394. So that high phosphorus this is an excellent one to give to hydrangeas because it has enough phosphorus to really make them show off. And that's what you want. You want them to show off. And we have these in 4-pound bags. There's 2 cups to a pound in these. All of the Espoma products are 3 cups to a pound. But Dr. Earth, it's a denser mix. So it's 2 cups to a pound. So each of these 4-pound bags has 8 cups. That's enough for 8 shrubs, 8 shrubs and flowering shrubs. And then, so I mean, this is my favorite, my all-time favorite. Now, with the perennials, wait, I'm on roses. No, I'm on perennials. Oh, I'm on roses. Okay. All right. And after our soil warms up, and don't do it too early because we've been so cold that our soil, if you mulch your roses now, it'll keep the soil moist and colder. So it'll keep the roses, it'll slow them down a bit. If you want to see roses sooner, wait until the soil warms up before you put your mulch down. And the best thing to use on roses are the leaf mulch, and that's the one in the upper left. And then cotton burr compost. I love the cotton burr compost because it's a hybrid cross between a leaf mulch and a shredded bark mulch. They take the whole plant of the cotton plant, and after they've harvested the cotton, the burr is a real woody structure that kind of looks like where my hand is. And then you have the woody stems and then all the leaves. They harvest the whole plant, chop it all up, and then compost it. And it actually lowers the pH of our high pH soil, lasts longer than a leaf mulch because you have more of the woody particles in it that don't break down as quickly. And it's like a hybrid cross for herbaceous plants. And then also for things like roses. Then you also have the shredded pine mulch down in the lower left, and then the shredded hardwood. Those 2 are some of the best values that we have because each of those, well, all of these except for the leaf mulch is in a 2 cubic foot bag. And so if you're going to spread mulch 2 inches deep, a 2 cubic foot bag will spread and cover 12 square feet. Okay. Great. Our mulches are great. Now this is on the spring flowering bulbs, and boy, they're really slow and they're just plugging along. In my garden, this is not a shot for my garden, but all of my little small daffodils are up and they're just delightful, absolutely delightful. I've got a few roses, and my early roses are they're in bud, starting to open up. And then, of course, this isn't in the Kuchenhof. So I had to show you this when you have, just whole total swaths of tulips. And then these are just coming from my garden too. I have bouquets of the tete-a-tete daffodils, which is the little daffodil picking up over the left-hand corner, and then the Grape Hyacinth. The cool thing about the Grape Hyacinth is that it's toxic, and daffodils too are toxic. So the animals won't bother them. So you can do bouquets with tulips, but the Grape Hyacinth around the edges of a bouquet of tulip. And as the rabbits come up, they smell the Grape Hyacinth and they say, ugh, this is toxic, and they go someplace else. So it actually looks as a cute bouquet, but it also protects the roses. Excuse me while I get a sip of coffee. Sorry, that was a gulp. A gulp, not a sip. Okay, now is the time to fertilize with the Dr. Earth bulb food. Look at the phosphorus levels in this, 314.2. And so this is perfect. It supports the flowers. It supports the bulb when the flowers are gone and the foliage is there, photosynthesizing to recharge the bulb. And it helps the bulb to set the embryo for the flower bud for next season. So again, lasting 2 whole months, put this down right now, so May 1st, and then I would come in and do it again in October, and that's when the bulbs are recharging, getting ready for overwintering. Excellent product, excellent product. You want to use the plant skeet again on bulbs, the plant skeet or the liquid fence, because rabbits will eat them to the ground. They eat the foliage and the flowers. Now, ground covers. Okay, if you covered your ground covers with evergreen boughs to protect them from winter snow and winter cold, remove those. Sooner the better. So you want to. Usually we say to get them off by the middle of April, but because of the cold fluctuations, it may have helped them. Okay, let me go here. I've been having tons and tons of samples and photos of Pachysandra come in, and this is usually what they look like. You can see bare areas where the volutella is either caused a leaf blight, and you can see this is a great photo to show how the fungus got into a leaf, the leaf walled it off, and then you have that bullseye. As the fungus gets out of the walled area, the plant just keeps trying to wall it in. So you get that bullseye, and then you can see on the edge where it got in, the edge of the leaf, the center dropped out because the dead tissue dried up and it dropped out. I guess the little cuttings down at the bottom picture show the classic damage of the stem blight, and you can see how it just ate through. And actually, the fungus inoculated the whole vascular system of that tip, and it clogged the whole thing. So the tip all died out. So that's what gives you the dead areas in the yard. You can spray this with Immunox. I think I put that in here. I keep wearing this silly thing. Oh, I wanted to show you, Pachysandra can also get euonymus scale. So this is a sample that came in, and you can see, you see the brown and the white flecks. The brown flecks are the scale. Those are the females. The white ones are the males, and they have a stylus, like a little needle, that sucks the juices from the plant. And then it can cause it it can really stress it when we have heat and drought conditions like we had last season. So the best thing to get rid of it is this product, the BioAdvance, the insect disease and mite control. And it comes in a hand sprayer. It also comes in a hose-in sprayer, which is wonderful for large ground cover areas. And it stays in the plant for 30 days. So you want to start now, spray, and as the new growth starts, the new leaves, and it's going to start pretty soon as the temperatures get heavier and heavier. Some of them are flowering right now, and right after they finish flowering, all that new growth is going to come. I encourage people to spray every 2 weeks, even though the product stays in the leaves that are sprayed for a month. The new foliage, and as new growth is coming quick and fast, then it's not protected. So I recommend spraying, every 2 weeks for that. Fertilize the ground cover, all your ground covers, with holly tone. And the reason we always say to use holly tone is our soil is 7.2 to 7.8 pH, which is very alkaline. The holly tone has a 5% sulfur in it, and it's a 434 nutrient. So it's very balanced, and it lasts 30 days. And for ground cover, you're going to use 1 pound, which is 3 cups for 20 square feet. And that's an area that's 5 by 4. Okay, and just sprinkle over the surface of the ground cover, and then use a hose to wash it off the leaves so it goes down to the soil. Those granules are going to go down to the soil, and just do that once a month, in May and June, and then I would do it again in October. And boy, it'll really help your ground covers. And those are ivies, any of the ivies. So the English ivy, the Binkabine, the euonymus, it's called winter creeper, and it's Euonymus coloratus, and then the Pachysandra. Okay, now trees and shrubs. Ooh, I've got to speed it up. You want to remove any of the tree wrap or any of the protective trunk cylinders. The reason, and also burlap screens. I'll show you a picture of burlap. But the reason you want to do that is it tends to trap moisture underneath it, and you can really encourage some fungal problems on the bark. So, and then that can contribute to canker, the stem canker. So take all these wraps off, do that now, get rid of that. And then take all the burlap screens down. This is just the ugliest thing. And I know it prevents winter burn and salt spray burn, but oh my God, it's just ugly. So take those down as soon as you can, get those down. And then again, I'm going to go over this again. Plan to protect all those plants with the fungicide. And then, these trees and shrubs, these, they get anthracnose, they get apple scab, they get rust, and they get powdery mildew. So again, these are the same fungicides you want to use on those, Immunox or Infuse. And then the Hollytown, 1 pound, or one pound every 20 square feet. That's for the ground cover, but this is for trees and shrubs. 1 pound, or it's 1 pound, which is 3 cups for every inch of trunk diameter for a tree, or 1 cup for every foot of branch spread of a shrub. If you have a hedge of arborvitae and it's 20 feet long all down your driveway, take 20 cups and just sprinkle that right underneath on the ground, underneath all those plants. And do that once May 1st and once June 1st. And you'll be amazed at how that gives the plants the building blocks they need to put themselves together for the growing season. And then after you get all your beds around your trees and shrubs weeded, get it all weeded, use Preen. Preen is just a godsend product for us gardeners. You sprinkle it down. I've actually moved up to the extended control, the 6-month control, and you sprinkle it over the soil, preferably under the mulch, but then watered in to activate it. And what it does is it creates a barrier, and any seeds that germinate, it kills the feeder root. With no feeder root, there's no plant shoot and no growth and no weeds. Man, it reduces your weeding. I with the 2-month one, it reduced my weeding by 50%. I love this product, and it's safe to use around other plants. You don't want to use it wherever you're going to start seed. If you have perennial beds, or where you like having some of the seeding, of things like columbine, what you might want to do is save the columbine seed with the flower heads this summer, and then start the plants, inside or in containers outside, and take advantage of the Preen. And then just once the plants have germinated, once the seeds have germinated on their plants, you can put them in the ground where Preen's been used. It won't hurt them. It only affects seeds and seed starting. Incredible product, really good. And then after you put your Preen down, then you want to put your mulch down, and leaf mulch for herbaceous things, but for trees and shrubs, cotton burr compost is my preferred one, or shredded pine bark mulch. Shredded hardwood is nice because it's a darker color, but I like the shredded pine bark because there's a chemical in the pine that prevents any of the root rot fungi called Pythium and Rhizoctonia. So it's a great, the mulch, because it helps keep the soil more consistently moist and more consistently cool, but then it also prevents any weeds from germinating. Okay, now we're right here. All right, and if you have done all these things, then sit down, pat yourself on the back, and enjoy an iced tea, or get ready to pat yourself on the back when you've finished all of these chores, and enjoy an iced tea. You can tell I love iced tea. I could drink that right now with the mint in it and the lemon in it. Ooh, looks good, doesn't it? Okay, now I noticed that I got several questions. I'm gonna pop the questions up here. And okay, this is, I believe it's Joan Sherwich. The rabbits have eaten most of the peony shoots in spite of my diligence with plant skid. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. The peonies are at least 20 years old, and I haven't experienced them in any plant year. Did the rabbit kill the plants? No, the rabbits have not killed the plants, but you said the peony shoots all the way to the ground? or just the buds. I have a feeling this is the shoots. If you can fence that area, it's still early enough that I think you're going to get other shoots that come up from the plant. It may take 6 weeks, but if they're 20 years old, you'll still get new shoots. Oh, I'm so sorry that happened. Gosh, that's awful to hear that. Okay, and then Diana, how do you tell which hydrangeas are old wood versus new wood? Oh, wow, great question. Can I prune the last summer bloomer right now when the buds are showing? All right, Diana, what I'm trying to figure out when you say the buds are showing, you're talking about the buds for the vegetative growth, because there's no flowers on summer blooming ones right now. Those would be the paniculatas, and then the macrophyllus will bloom midsummer, and they have woody structures. The Annabelles are the ones you should cut back to 8 to 12 inches from the ground right now. So how do you tell which hydrangeas are old wood versus new wood? Okay, I'm gonna just kind of go back to the beginning on this. If the flowers on the hydrangeas that you're questioning are completely round, and they bloom mid-season, those are the macrophylla types, and they're usually cousins of the endless summer group. If the flowers are more cone shaped, those are the paniculata types. Now, the classic paniculata is called the PG hydrangea, and that's Hydrangea paniculata grandiflora. They do have round flowers, but PGs don't bloom until the very end of the summer, not till late July or August, going into October. So that's how you can tell. If you're not sure, if you have any photos, you can bring photos into me or attach them to an email address to hello@chaleznursery.com, and I can ID them for you. Okay? Good question. And Diana has another question. Does turf builder kill creeping Charlie? No, the turf builder does not kill creeping Charlie. Turf builder Scots does not kill any weeds, essentially. If you're talking about the turf builder plus the seed starter, and or the Scott step 1 for seeding, it will ding up the creeping Charlie. It burns the chlorophyll out, so it really weakens it. So when you spray a weed killer on, like the bonide chickweed clover on oxalis, which is the best thing to use, it will kill it in 10 days. Okay, so now landscapers want to mulch everything now. Isn't it too soon? It can be, Diana, it can be too soon. If you're using a landscaper, go ahead and live with it and just realize it's going to slow your plants down. Now, sometimes there's not anything wrong with that because you get later and longer bloom, and then the plants aren't as susceptible to any of the late season frost. So if you're dealing with landscapers and you rely on them to do it, just live with it and understand it's going to slow your plants down. Okay. All right, now, anonymous attendee. I love my spring bulbs. Me too. Are there any good low maintenance spring perennial bulbs that are reliable bloomers to plant directly into the ground in those spring bulb areas of the yard? Okay, any low maintenance perennial spring bulbs that are reliable bloomers? Gosh, there are so many. There are just so many. But I have a feeling are you talking about the summer blooming bulbs that are reliable bloomers that you want to plant next to the spring bulbs? Then if that's the case, look for lilies. Lilies are incredible. So the Asiatic lilies and the Oriental lilies, and you can plant those in the areas where the spring bulbs are, and then the lilies will bloom later. But be sure and protect them with rabbit protector, because rabbits eat them like Tootsie Roll Pops. You know that? Okay. So I'm hoping I translated that one right. Okay. And then this is from Merle Hutner. Is the ground too cold to plant a magnolia tree? No. I always would love what Tony Fulmer, he was my boss for many years and a co-horticulturist with me, and he's deservedly retired now. He would always say, you can plant woody trees and plants any month that has a val in it, as long as the soil's not frozen. So guess what? That's all year long, as long as there's the soil isn't frozen. So yeah, get the magnolia in now, so the roots can form while the soil is still just warming up, and it gets established before we get into the hot 85-day degrees of summer. So get it in soon. Okay, and here's another from Diana. Yes, leaf buds are coming. It is a big bush, not an Annabelle. Oh, okay. Oh, you answered me right away. Perfect. Okay, so those are paniculatas, and you really don't have to prune those if the plant isn't out of control with size. If you do want to change the size, and then you would only prune 1/3 of the length of the branches and prune that back, and then do that now before the new growth is really getting established, and it will bloom. It always blooms on new wood. Good. Oh, this was cool. You got back to me. Thank you. Okay, and here's Anonymous again. You mentioned the squirrel problems. I have an infestation. Yeah, 8 in the yard at one time yesterday. Oh my gosh, they bite things off and leave them. Any ideas? Yes, come in and it's a granular product, and Anonymous, I think I know who you are, but send me an email at you can either send it to hello@chaletnursery.com or jenniferb@chaletnursery.com, and I'll send you the name of that product that Laura Justice, head of our specialty gardens, came in yesterday to tell me, oh my God, she'd used everything, and this other product for squirrels was fabulous. But she did say she used it pretty heavily all around the plants that she wanted to protect. But send me that email and I'll send you, and I can't believe I can't think of the name right now. It's a newer product for us. All right. Okay, thanks so much. And then oh, here's Tanya Haskin. I haven't seen your name for a while. How to prevent eroded areas from runoff in your lawn. Okay, what I like to do, if you have an area that's washing out, I like to plant plants that have really, very intense, fibrous roots, because that'll hold the area that's being eroded. The other thing is to use edgers. Use edgers if you can use an edger in that situation. Okay. Okay, excellent. And then let me go down. I'm going to look at the chat. Here we go. And oh, we're just a little bit after. It says, hi, Jennifer, it's Judith. I divided the Carl Forester grass as you advised, and it was as easy to do as you said. Oh my God, congratulations. That's fabulous. Very, very good. Okay, and it said I had 2. Oh, I had 20 people stay with me. Thank you, everybody. I thought I had 2 chats, but I guess not. Let me pop this up. It was just the one. Okay, this is cool. I'm going to bring this one back down again and put this one back down. And I'm going to stop the share. And I'll be able to say thank you to everybody. Thanks for sticking with me through the questions and answers. And don't forget that today, tomorrow, and Sunday, we have the 20% off for Chalet Rewards members on all plants in the nursery. It's the signature containers aren't included, but any of the woody plants, any of the herbaceous plant materials, you get 20% off, your whole purchase. So come and enjoy the bonus, and if you have any questions, come find me, and I'm here to answer. I'm here to answer your questions, and thank you for joining. And next week will be Garden Coach again. So I've got all kinds of fun stuff to talk about Garden Coach and kind of updates on my own garden. So thank you, everybody. Bye now.